This is almost exactly the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. The support, the community. A lot of people are able to get a lot of this stuff done, filming content, things like that. They got support. Not that I can't have that, I just gotta recruit it, but it takes some support. That's what this whole thing is about, trying to build that community, build that support, just build that level of connection. That's what this is all about. So I got some eggs, I'm gonna cook some pork. Ground pork. Very high quality. I just had some pork skirt steak yesterday. Same pig. It was delicious. I had it with some noodles and actually some salsa. That wasn't really hot. It was like a chili, but it wasn't hot. Not enough peppers. We're gonna get this going down. It's nice and hot. You better hear this. I know you heard that. I know you did. I'm gonna try to thin it out a little bit. It's a cast iron pan, so it's very hot. You gotta be careful. Oh, and I had some avocado with it yesterday too, which is a little different. So it's already kind of seasoned. It's got some, I think it's got coriander, salt, pepper, sage. That's about it. But I'm just gonna salt it some more. Salt is not the enemy. I know people are worried about salt because blood pressure, things like that. Don't worry about that. Salt is not the enemy. Okay, so that's pretty much what my breakfast going to consist of. 3 nice big schlonkers from Oma's garden. I think Oma means mom in Korean, so I'm not saying, or maybe I am saying that. Maybe that's why it's called that. Maybe it's from Mom's Garden. That's the name of the company, possibly. I don't know. Now, while that's cooking, we're gonna get some organs in. I have some hearts that I chopped up yesterday. A little bit of this. This is great for carnitine, taurine, vitamin B2, fever vitamins. And I always love the fat that's on the pork right there. I mean, the pork that's on the heart. Heart fat, some of my favorite. Although pork fat's really good too. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. Got some good fat on that pork. So it's about building a community, you know? I don't expect everybody to do the exact same things that I do. Otherwise, I wouldn't be me. We would just be clones of each other running around. But I like to show you what it is that I do when I get the time. I have to make my own plans based on, what my schedule's going to look like, which varies. I've pretty much adapted to a nice flow of things now, but changes still happen when you do so many different things. A lot of times, I don't know if this is the case for everyone, maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but a lot of times that just increases the chance that something's gonna one little small change is going to, like, you know, have lots of different effects, because pushing a session tutoring 10 minutes back, it doesn't just impact that student, it impacts the next student, it impacts the next student, possibly when I'm actually ultimately done with work. What day is there a farmer's market? I pretty much adapted to that. That doesn't change. And which farmer's markets do I need to go to? The way that I consume my food, I have an idea of when I need to go to this farmer's market versus another one that might have something different. Seafood is pretty exclusive to Sundays and Wednesdays, just because that's when the good quality sources are available. I'm gonna flip this fork. Actually, it's been on kind of a low setting, so I'm gonna sear it hard for a good, like, 45 seconds before I flip it. But yeah, so whenever the farmers markets are around, that's when I do certain things. When I get to go to the gym, depends on both of those factors. Depends on if I'm working in person or online mostly. Now that I'm dog walking, I have to consider that. I usually have to leave pretty early, but on a Saturday, like today, I get to sleep in a little bit. I slept until like 7:30, casually making my food at 8:08, luxuriously. Sometimes I get to do that on Thursdays, but I don't get to sleep in. I have a meeting on Thursday at 7 a.m. I have to have all my shit ready, basically. And then I can cook, eat, and clean, and leave the house by 8:30, because I actually have an in-person student at 10 o'clock, so I need to always sit through at least an hour and 20 minutes of traffic to get there. Which, you know, it's been about 45 seconds. Yeah, that's nice. I mean, look, if I'm going to cook my food, I'm going to cook it how I want it. And that's, like, you know, with a nice sear, tastes better. I still eat my really highly nutritious things raw. It's the best way to do it. Eggs can go either way. They taste great cooked. They taste great raw. They're very convenient raw. And they're very nutritious raw. So, you know, just got to weigh those kinds of things for yourself. Why are you doing what you're doing? It should be very dependent on who you are as a person. It shouldn't be dependent on who everyone else is trying to be, or who a lot of people look up to. Like, it's great to have influences. That's amazing. But you shouldn't just box yourself into doing what they do, unless you live like a very similar lifestyle and stuff like that. Then it's pretty understandable, pretty reasonable. But I mean, it even comes down to things like body composition, body goals when we're talking about nutrition. So, you know, do what works for you. Best thing you can say. I think that's what 2024 is going to be about. A lot of people are going to be preaching the do what works for you. Here's a lot of information, and here's a lot of experience, and a lot of a story, basically, behind a message. But underneath all that, there's going to be but interpret it how you would like to, or, you know, apply that for yourself how you would like to. I think that's the case. I think that's a pretty healthy message to send kids. You know, literally do what works for you. Encourage them to try things out, to be curious. There's nothing wrong with that, to try to learn. Don't box yourself in, and do what works for you, man. The struggle with kids is sometimes they don't always know what's best for themselves, so they don't know what would be good for them. Or even if they do know what's best for themselves, they might not know what would be good for them. But I think that's a healthy message to send to them, you know, especially during this time where they might feel very pressured to be a certain type of way. They see a lot of things on the internet that, like, box them in. It's a combination of the source of info and their mind that allows them to box themselves into a template. And then they get anxiety, and maybe they get depressed because they don't truly feel fully like that. They feel unique, you know, they feel them, they feel like themselves. And so they're sort of their mind is battling with that dissonance between who they think they're supposed to be and like the identity that they actually feel like they are. Kids are brilliant, I'll tell you that much. They're pretty brilliant. I work with them day in and day out, and there are a lot of things on technology that some of these 14-year-old kids can do in like 20 seconds that would have taken me 15 minutes if I could even figure it out at all. It's very amusing. So I have some liver in there too. I'm actually not going to eat the liver today. I don't want to open it up until I have like a couple of extra jars. So I kind of have to get some mason jars today. I can chop up the liver. I've still been taking liver in a different form, but the fresh stuff is nice. I just want to make sure it was truly thawed. Last bit of heart. See that? Super good. And the juice usually accumulates in here. See if we got any good juice that I can just drink out. Yeah. I know it's kind of conflicting, right? I'm having cooked and raw food. Make up your mind, man. And this stuff is just so nutritious, I'm not going to cook it. And it probably doesn't taste that good when you cook it. Whereas pork and bacon and eggs, on the other hand, they taste pretty good. So as long as it's from a high quality source, you know, these eggs are free ranging, they're eating bugs. It rained a lot last week, so you know that some of those worms were popping out. And so chickens were gobbling those up. And that goes into a healthy egg, and then that goes into you, and you become a healthy person. You understand? It's simple. It's really simple. You take good source and put it through good processes, healthy processes, and then when you ingest it, it's actually good for you. Instead of like pick maybe a decent source, probably not a good source, and then you fucking bastardize it and ruin it and inject it with things and like modify it, and then you give it to people and they get sick and they wonder why, and then they take a pill. Simple, right? Much less simple. Much simpler to just have good quality and sustain the quality from seed to ingestion, or from embryo to steak. That sounded creepy. Anyways.